Now let's welcome Kevin Hodge, Program Manager and Chief Transport RN for AirLink and VitaLink Critical Care Transport with NHRMC and now Novant Health. Yep. So Kevin, welcome back.
Thanks.
It's been a while.
It has been a long time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Jean.
I think it was like 2019 when we first got the helicopter here.
It's almost been 2 years now.
That was an exciting day for all of us. We were all there, but it's even more exciting now because we're a lot busier. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're an RN, and tell me about your background and how did you come to be in your current position?
Yeah, so I'm a registered nurse by trade. I've been a registered nurse for 24 years. I grew up in the emergency department in the ICUs in Kentucky. Actually relocated with my family back in 2003. Worked in the emergency department in Wilmington and then transitioned over to AirLink VitaLink as a critical care transport nurse. I've done all facets of the program from staffing, ground to air, and in between. I've been in my current position since 2008. And for me, what drove me into this position is really from a patient care perspective. I always tried to put the patient first, and I think as a leader it gives me an opportunity to make decisions that continue to impact patient care just at a different level. Right.
Well, there's a huge need for that. And could you give me an overview of the AirLink program? How many helicopters do we have?
Yeah, so we currently have 3 helicopters. One is based here at the Brunswick campus.
And we're so lucky.
Yeah, glad to be here. The second one is based at Columbus Regional Healthcare System in Whiteville, and then the third one is based at Albert J. Ellis in Jacksonville. We just celebrated our 20th year anniversary, so our first aircraft took its first mission back in 2001, and we've obviously grown and evolved to the needs of our patients and our community. So it's been an extremely exciting journey for us.
Yeah. Well, I know initially when we started the program here, it was here just certain times of the day or peak times and maybe 12 hours a day. But when within the first year, it went to round-the-clock coverage. So tell me how that helps our community.
Yeah, sure. So when we first started, we actually pulled data from the hospital here as well as our EMS partners in the community and established those peak times where most of the traumas occurred or the STEMIs occurred, the heart attack victims, etc. Quickly into that, we realized after hours when the helicopter was not here, the calls continued to come in, which allowed us to really grow that model into a 24/7. The other thing when you're talking about 24/7 operations is if you're a provider in the field, you don't want to have to guess, is there a helicopter there or not? Did they go home for the day, right? Yeah. So that allowed us to really grow that. Since that time, for the last year or so, I looked back at some numbers just to see what impact we had within the community, and currently for the last year we're setting at 400 flights out of this air base alone. For the program, it's a busy program. We're looking at it probably about 1,300 patient transports this year. So a lot of time spent in the year and a lot of lives impacted by it.
Wow. And that's such a critical time when you're either in a car accident or having a heart attack or a stroke.
Absolutely.
Well, before the helicopter was based here, patients who needed transport to different facilities, they waited for the AirLink helicopter to come here, and then sometimes they were transported by ground. Now we still have the luxury of having that ground transportation, correct?
Yes.
So in addition to the helicopter, we still have the VitaLink ground transport.
That is correct.
And is that, so if the helicopter's gone, do we resort to using the VitaLink?
Yeah, so in the event that the helicopter's on a mission or the weather is bad where we can't fly.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Then yes, we would revert back to our critical care ground component, which is VitaLink. We actually celebrated our 30th year anniversary for VitaLink this year, so they've been around for a long time. And on that ground configuration, it's set up just like the helicopter in that you have critical care providers providing ICU level medicine. So it's a good asset.
How long is that trip via VitaLink from here to New Hanover?
Yeah, so from here to New Hanover, running emergency traffic, lights and sirens, pending the bridge is not up and tourist season is not in full swing and we have backups. roughly around 45 minutes. To lift here with a helicopter, it's around 8 to 10 minutes, if that puts it in perspective.
That's a lifesaver.
Yeah, significant difference.
Wow, significant. So I know that AirLink works with our first responders and our local emergency services. Tell me how that works. How do you coordinate that? Do they call you, or do we call you, or how does that work?
That's a great question, and I would be amiss if I didn't pause just for a second and just throw a shout out to our providers in the field who have, they've rose to the challenge with the pandemic, and they put themselves at risk, and they really work tirelessly hours to provide that service to the community. So shout out to all of our providers out in the field.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
To answer your question directly, June, it's a well-coordinated system. So you always tabletop these, you plan these out so that there's a standard approach, and when the emergency arises, you're not trying to figure it out on the fly, right? So what we've done is we've partnered with the local providers here in Brunswick County and actually set up designated landing zones. So we know there's rendezvous points throughout the entire county. And what that serves, or the purpose for that, is we want to make sure that the aircraft is indeed the fastest mode of transport, and that it's a well-coordinated, where they're not sitting on the ground waiting for a helicopter for 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
So in the ideal world, they would activate through our their 911 system calls our transfer center.
Yes.
Who then activates the helicopter. The helicopter then lifts and intercepts at some point within a landing zone, picks up the patient, and then goes direct to the appropriate facility. So it's a very coordinated effort. It takes a lot of communication, a lot of training, and we've really been pleased with the interactions we've had with the local providers here.
Wow, that's awesome. That takes a lot of effort to get that, to make that happen. I'm curious, what kind of interventions would a flight nurse maybe do or have on the helicopter?
Yeah, so just briefly, I mean, our mission has always been to provide excellent patient care, and it's not just rapid transport of 8 to 10 minutes. It's really focused on bringing that ICU level quality care right straight to the patient at the bedside. With that said, our nurses and critical care paramedics go through extensive training to provide that level of care. We carry blood products, we ventilate, we intubate, we pace. We can do anything that pretty much is done in an ICU, and they carry all their equipment and pretty much an entire pharmacy with them to provide that care.
Wow.
So a lot of people think about a helicopter, it's, well, how fast can you get there?
Can you get there?
Speed does impact patient outcomes, obviously, but we just don't grab them, throw them on a stretcher and fly. They really bring that excellence of care to the bedside with the patient, and it starts right then and there, not waiting until they're transported to definitive care.
I can't imagine intubating a patient on a helicopter. That must be a feat.
Well, it is, and technology, it's
Right.
it's a huge blessing. I mean, we have video laryngoscopy now, so we really have moved beyond some of the non-traditional or the older type techniques where you were using a blade and visually identifying your landmarks. Now we have technology that aids us with that, and then obviously it goes back to training. We spend hours training so that when the emergency arises, we get it right the first time.
Well, I can't tell you how excited we are to have you all as part of the Novant Health family. I take every opportunity to say that to as many people who will listen, because I think it's a marriage made in heaven. Together we can make a world of difference to this community and to our patients. So Kevin, will you come back soon? Because we're out of time.
Absolutely.
Don't wait 2 years.
Yeah, anytime, June.
It's up
you
to
have
me, right?
on,
I just have to call you.
It's on you. You just give me a call. I love talking to you. I love talking about our program. And
I do too.
And more importantly, I think Novant Health is living out its vision of really providing remarkable care to our patients. And again, this is one of the many tools that we have to offer. And great team, great organization. And I'm glad that we can actually serve together in this community. So thank you.
And thank you for coming, and I can't wait till you come back.